live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you're making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Okay, so you know usually what Tuesdays mean during the baseball schedule. That means as it looks like McNeese will get out of it. That's it right there. We do our live baseball reactions. But LSU leads McNeese 1-0. LSU, Paul Mainieri made some adjustments in the lineup. He put a more offensive lineup into tonight's game. So we will see how that pans out. But LSU is leading 1-0 to McNeese. LSU sued for $50 million. LSU is sued for $50 million. You heard that right. We're going to touch on that. We're going to talk on what every media member should have been telling you. I'm not going to trash on other media members today. That even though it's rightfully I could and should, I'm not going to do that. We're going to tell you what you should know, what we do know, and what we need to gather. We're going to question LSU. We're going to question Sharon Lewis. Simple questions that need to be answered. We will talk about that as well. Also, hashtag Ask Blake. I'll put it here in the comments as well. Hashtag Ask Blake. We will touch on everything that we can moving forward in tonight's show. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, let's get to a couple comments before we got to pay some bills around this thing. Blake Doucette says, hashtag Ask who? Blake Ruffino. Mike Jones. Kenny says he's in the house. What's up, Kenny? Nick Guidry says, yo, what's up? What's happening, brother? Craig Schilling, our good friend, Mr. Craig Schilling says, and we are live. Yes, we are. Marvin Mackey says, what up, John B? If you didn't see, today is me and my wife's 3-year wedding anniversary. There was a video leaked of me singing, remixed to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen, mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. So if you want to see, I mean, you see it on the podcast, live streamed every Monday through Thursday about how open I am. But if you want if you want a more detailed interaction, you can go see it there. Keith, I really appreciate Keith. Keith sent us some stars, 150 stars. Keith, I really appreciate that, guys. Every time you send us the stars, it helps us build our podcast even more and everything that we're doing. Craig Schilling says, happy anniversary. Thanks, Craig. We really greatly appreciate that. All right, we got to do this. We're going to hear from Coach Ed Orgeron as we're talking through the baseball game. I'll tell you what's going on there. So you can watch your TVs. You can watch AYS Live right here. But before we get started with that, guys, we got to pay some bills around this thing, and none better than our good friends over at GM Varndo & Sons. GM Varndo & Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, truck repair, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. And our good friends, our new sponsors over at Monster Bass. Guys, it is time. It is fishing season. Get over to Monster Bass and get all the bait and tackle that you need. One premium subscription to this fishing company that handpicks the best baits out there will have you getting all the bigger bass that you've always been waiting for. No more guessing about which baits you need. Go to monsterbass.com, and if you tell them, and if you put in the promo code AYS10, you will get $10 off your first box of tackle. Again, go to monsterbass.com. That's monsterbass.com. And let them know your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. Florence says, my favorite show, happy anniversary. We got a lot of happy anniversaries in here. Lonnie Young says it. Kenny says it. Eric Wright. Guys, I really appreciate that. Sam Bacon says happy anniversary. Our good friend, Miss Tasha Thibodeau, the real LSU Nation. Guys, go over to our group. And get all the LSU action and news over there as McNeese fouls one off. So we got no outs in the bottom of the third. LSU leading still 1-0. Ray says happy anniversary. Thank you. And Luke says ready for a Ruffino rant. Happy anniversary, brother. Okay, I don't know, quite honestly, if I'm going to get into a rant today. What I am going to tell you is what do we have? You know, today there were media members that came out and said the following. Number one, they said Well, we know that let's back up just in case nobody and everybody missed it. The USA Today came out with an article from a lady that works inside of LSU, an official from LSU, Sharon Lewis. In the article, she talks about damning things against Les Miles. And let me stop right there. We have the evidence on Les Miles. Like, we have it. So as much as I always come on here and say due process and everything like that, we have the evidence on Les Miles. Les Miles should have been fired in 2013. Guys and girls, it is not appropriate for women to go through what they have to go through. Molestation, rape allegation, all of that. Rape. That's not acceptable. If Les Miles could not be around female workers in 2013, his candy ass should have been fired. Period, point blank. Let's get that out of the atmosphere. Let's get it out there. Les Miles should have been canned. Brandon Harris went 13 of 25 today. He's looking fantastic. Shut up, Les. Not even for stuff on the field, but off the field, he was a piece of crap. I guess I did bring on the rant there. So Les should have been fired in 2013, but she brings a lot of evidence. There are some questions in that USA Today article that we need to ask. Number one, let's start with LSU. As McNeese, I forget a batter here, but McNeese is going to fly out to Gavin Dugas with the runner still on first. There's one out in the bottom or the top of the third. Let's just make this clear in the questions we have to ask LSU. What was their logical thinking in not having a process in place for Title IX allegations and investigations? What took 10 days to get it there? Now, we've read some of the things in the Hush Blackwell report. We're still gathering information, but that's one question that we have to maintain and we have to get answered. To this day, they've kind of tried to answer it, but no one really has answered that question. Why? That is a big deal. So there is some things that LSU has to clean up. No one's barking on that. But there are some things that in this report that I read that I just have to know that Sharon Lewis in the USA Today said. In the investigation or in this article, they said that Les Miles had Zach Mettenberger, former LSU quarterback Zach Mettenberger, on a recruiting visit right after he got released from Georgia. Well, first off, I talked to a multitude of recruiting analysts just to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind. Zach Mettenberger never came to LSU during that time after he got released from Georgia. So we have to find a timeline in reference to, well, Zach Mettenberger came on this visit. He said that the women at LSU were really ugly. That is in the report. Well, quite honestly, the timeline of that is really questionable. And I am not saying, and let me backtrack a little bit on my sake because I forgot to say this. I am not saying that LSU is right, and I am not saying LSU is wrong. What I am going to say is that we have to find out more information. Period, point blank. Due process has to happen. Where in society did we get to a point where due process isn't a thing anymore? Where? It's guilty until proven innocent. And look, if Sharon Lewis has documentation and proof that these things go on, okay, let's roll with it. The university that we love, all right, I get it. I fully get it. We got to do what we have to do. But for everybody and media members to continue to go out there and say, well, I believe exactly what's in this article. Guys, we found out yesterday from Gloria Scott that sometimes things in an article don't pan out. As the McNeese batter flies out to right to Dylan Cruz, 2 outs in the top of the third. You like how I do that? I'm getting better at that. I'm getting a little better at that. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think I'm getting a little better. Look, holy moly, look at that beard. Chris Kringle. I mean, good Lord, what in the name of Chris Kringle is that beard? I know I got a beard, but dang, that dude's got a red beard down to here. Holy Christmas, what a beard. Jeez. All right. But we do have to find out more information from both parties, from LSU and from Miss Sharon Lewis. Another question that I have from the article, and from what we learned yesterday, Miss Gloria Scott, and I don't know if and this is something that we have to find out. I do not know if these two are related, but we have to get more documentation. Yesterday, we heard audio release that LSU produced that Miss Gloria Scott said the following. If you can go back to last night's show, we played that clip that she spoke with Sharon Lewis, and she refers to herself in the third person. Now Miss Gloria is looking to get paid, get compensation. And we know after that, LSU released that they were extorted during that process. So I don't know if that is connected, but if it is, we need to find out more. But at the end of the day, without any questions to everybody, and you guys know how I've been ranting on this. You guys know how much I've been talking about due process and all of this. But one thing is certain. Les Miles, you're a piece of Rudy Poo trash. I mean, come on, man. And here's another question and going back to LSU, I forgot about this one. One thing that LSU has to answer, and what this report did not determine, who in the hell are these board members that allowed this to happen? Because in the Hush Blackwell report and every report that we've come out as Helmers gets a strikeout to end of the top of the third. So LSU still leading 1-0 in the top of the third as Helmers gets a strikeout there. But we have to find out more as to who these individuals are so they can also be questioned. Multiple members of the Board of Regents knew that this was going on at LSU. I'm going to get to the comments in just a second. But why are their names not coming up in all of this? Les Miles should have been canned. And LSU has to answer that question. Whether we like it or not, LSU has to answer that question. Period. So I kind of want to talk about the $50 million thing, like LSU being sued for $50 million. Guys, they're not paying out $50 million. I don't believe. Quite honestly, because LSU doesn't have $50 million. I mean, they do, but they're not going to pay out $50 million. They will settle before they pay out $50 million. But a day after, and the big rant that I had last night about don't say that the USA Today was not going to come back after LSU. They did it today. The bombshell came out. Another question for Sharon Lewis and the USA Today. The USA Today said that they spoke with Sharon Lewis this morning. Well, in a 3,500 to 4,000 word article that they published, you mean that you put all of that together at 6:30 this morning? No, that's been going on for a while. So if one thing that we know and that that the USA Today lied about, and what they told WBRZ who reported this, they said that that this was all happened this morning with Sharon Lewis and her attorneys. Well, now you might know where the USA Today may have been getting some information. I don't know that for a fact. Just speculating. Again, due process. But I think it's funny that some of these things start coming out when all of this is happening. And, we just found out this morning. No, they didn't. Guys, it's a lie. It's a bold-faced, 100% patty-smacked lie from the devil's lips himself. So shame on Jacoby, who wrote the thing, or whatever's Kenny Jacoby from the USA Today, lying to people saying, this is the first time we knew about it. Bullshit. I don't believe that worth one iota. Look, I was born at night at 6:37 p.m. or 7:37 p.m., but I wasn't born last night. Let's get to a couple of these comments. Sam Bacon says, Zach Arnold takes a bad strike. As Sam Bacon said, candy ass or Rudy Poo candy ass? Question mark. It's a Rudy Poo candy ass. Carolyn McClendon. Hey, Carolyn, how are you? She says, #Ask Blake, can I send LSU some stars to help them pay for $50 million? I don't know that, but you can send us some, as you did, as we see right here. So, Carolyn, we greatly appreciate that. Billy Haywood says, what's the beef with Moscona? He seemed pretty honest and authentic today. The beef, I don't know even really if you want to call it beef, Billy, that I have with Matt. It's because that we have documentation and we have videos of him saying LSU's wrong. I believe the article about Gloria Scott, did not wait for due process to come out. Yesterday, LSU proved that Gloria Scott asked for money and tried to extort them. And then he backtracked and said that it's the fans' fault, that you guys should have waited for due process. Like, we have those videos. There's no question about that. Also, he said in the when the Hush Blackwell report was released and when Gloria Scott came out about allegedly talking to Coach Ed Orgeron, that he believes that she spoke with Ed Orgeron. Well, brother, you don't have proof. You're going out there on a stage, on a platform, saying that, hey, I feel and it's my belief that she spoke with Ed Orgeron. Really? Like, really? Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but we don't know. We don't know. This is by far. Let me make this very clear too, because some people might be thinking I'm just brushing this off, and I'm not. This is the most damning thing that LSU has gone through in all of this. Get out of here. Damn. Dylan Cruz flies out to right, warning track power to the opposite field. Damn. He almost got all of it to the opposite field. But it's not really a beef that I have with Moscona. It's the fact that I don't want to say that it's narcissism or what it is. I think the guy, deep down is a really good dude. But at the end of the day, sometimes these media members, him and Glenn Guilbeau, alike from the USA Today, need to be called out for some of the stuff that they say, and they never backtrack from it when they're wrong. Guys, this podcasting, and let me tell you what the truth is. Podcasting in and of itself, me being able to go live and all of this, scares the shit out of them. Scares the Rudy Poo out of them. Period. So what I don't like is the simple fact that we have seen due process. We have not waited for due process, and he did say, well, maybe I need to just take a step back. Well, of course you need to take a step back. What everybody should be doing right now is reading the article and asking questions, because we don't have enough. There are some things in the Hush Blackwell report that vindicate, and quite honestly, vindicates Sharon Lewis's report. That's not debatable. Like, not even close to being debatable. About Les Miles. And then he's running out there saying, fire Coach Ed Orgeron. For what exactly? For what exactly? Keith says, I know the spring game is on 17th of April. Yeah, I believe it is. We're going to hear from Coach Ed Orgeron in just a second. Actually, we'll do that right now. Coach Ed Orgeron met with as the media members would say, he met with the media. Actually, he meets with you, the fans. Yes, the media ask him questions. Coach Ed Orgeron was asked in reference to the quarterbacks and how they're doing this spring. And here is what Coach Ed Orgeron had to say about the quarterbacks so far.
Fair shot. We said we'll give them all a fair shot throughout the spring. And part of the camp, there'll be a time when at camp will come time where two guys have to get the reps, so we have to make that decision. But we're not close to making that decision now. Not even. There's a lot of reps to go, and all four of them are doing well. I thought Miles had a great day last Thursday, but you know what? It changes every day. Those guys are battling, and I'm very proud of them.
And that's Coach Ed Orgeron talking about the quarterback. So when everybody's asking the question on my show, and I'm assuming other people's shows, in reference to, hey, who's the quarterback going to be? They're not going to let you know that decision for a very long time. For a very, very long time. So he said that Miles had a good day. Yeah, we'll see. But I don't know. I don't think Miles Brennan is your starting quarterback against UCLA, nor really should he. So we'll see about that. Let's listen to Coach O too. He did talk about some of the defensive line. He's talked very highly of Joseph Evans, the defensive lineman. He converted to offensive line last year, then moved back for defensive line. Ed Orgeron has been really high on this kid, really high, and quite honestly saying he's having one of the best springs on this LSU team. Let's listen to Coach Ed Orgeron.
The first time, I think he had an outstanding day today. Made some great plays. The three technique had some great pass rushers. So did Mason. So those two guys are the guys that are showing up.
Those are the two names, Mason Smith and Joseph Evans, on the defensive line that continue to come out there. And look, I know that a lot of people really questioned Joseph Evans last season in reference to what he did and how he looked. But guys, it is really, think about this. It is really difficult to be on the defensive line, move to O-line, and then come back. Oh, by the way, with a broken hand. Oh, by the way, you have to go out there with a broken hand. So he believes that Joseph Evans, a D-line coach, by the way, and Ed Orgeron, who we hired to be the D-line coach, Ed Orgeron, before he became the head coach, who's been one of the best head coach or D-line coaches in the country for a long time, says that he believes Joseph Evans is looking really good. Look, Ed Orgeron has – people always talk about him missing on stuff and saying wrong things, but Ed Orgeron has hit on more players like a Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow than he's missed on players. Ed's a really good eye of talent. He knows what he's seen. So, here's another thing too. A lot of people focus on the negative with Ed and never really talk about the positive. Ever. Like ever. I'm not an Ed Orgeron homer, but we got to start talking about the positives. So if he believes that that Joseph Evans and Mason Smith are looking fantastic, we got to see, and we're definitely going to see in the spring. Nookie says, and it's a long fly ball. Yeah, it was a long fly ball. Marvin says that person, Glenn Guilbeau, is the worst. Well, he's certainly out there doing some stuff that just doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it makes sense. I get what he's trying to do here, but none of them are waiting for due process. None of them. I mean, I was listening to a show this morning. I was doing some stuff, and then I just clicked on it. It's like, hey, I wonder what they're talking about. Then they start talking about that. And during that, they go, oh, this is really damning. This is really bad. Yeah, it might be really bad. I've said that too. This is the damning piece, but they didn't talk about anything else other than that. What I do think was interesting in that article is that not once did they mention Ed Orgeron. Not once. They mentioned Zach Mettenberger coming on a recruiting visit the year he got kicked off of Georgia's team. That did not happen. So in that article, they did not do their due process and their due diligence and finding out if that account is accurate. It's not. It's not. As one of Magnese flies out, so it'll be one out, and the top of the fourth, LSU still leading 1-0. Blake Doucette says, hashtag Ask Blake, since Hill is out, who do you think will start Sunday? I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I thought that they would put Helmers in there to start Sunday, but clearly they wanted him to start tonight. Maybe Edwards. I don't know what he's thinking. Blake, I really don't know. Adam Burrows says, you said it 100%. That's my exact same opinion. Jacob says, why would she wait till nearly 5 years after Les Miles' firing to bring this to light? ? That's another question that needs to be asked. And look, it could easily be, and some people don't want to listen to this. And look, this is on her, and she's going to have to answer that question is, quite honestly, why? And maybe she just didn't feel that she was in a position to do so. I don't know that. Again, that's another question we have to ask. And that's what other people aren't asking. All right, let's do this because we got a lot to get into. Let's get to a couple of sponsors, and then we'll continue throughout the show. Guys, you got to go see my good friend, Mr. John Patton, over at Area Home Lending. If you're thinking about buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has literally never been better. Get in touch with John Patton from Area Home Lending today, and if you mention this show, I know he will send his team out for that free appraisal. Again, that's 225-663-2500, 225-663-2500. Tell them Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by Mr. Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. If you want your yard looking the absolute best, get in touch with Mr. Richie Roche today. Again, that's 225-937-7220. Tell them Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Okay, so 2 outs in the top of the fourth, still 1-0. I want to see LSU get some runs on the damn board. Craig Schilling says, dang, almost had to stop watching to post the Cruz gif. Almost. Jeremiah says, $50 million. You know what I actually wanted to do? I don't know if you guys saw this today. Because $50 million is a lot of damn money. Like, Lord have mercy, is it a lot of money, right?
FBI?
But I wanted to play. I did play this clip. So listen to this. This is what I thought of when I heard $50 million.
The amount will be $50 million.
$50 million? And who you think you kidnapped Chelsea Clinton? And who you think you kidnapped Chelsea Clinton?
If you remember, that's from Rush Hour, and he goes, $50 million? Who do you think you kidnapped? Chelsea Clinton? I thought that was kind of funny. Chili Vic, Chili, we hadn't seen you in a while. What's been happening? It says, #AskBlake, I know Nussmeier will not start this year, but the Nuss noise is getting much louder. It is. And, Ed Orgeron this morning said that when Nuss has been in practice and in some of these scrimmages, that he looks up and says to himself, did that really just happen? Like, did that really, really just happen? It's going to be interesting. Look, and Walker Howard's coming in. This quarterback room's never been better, y'all. Never been better. And I saw somebody earlier say something about Mettenberg. Oh, damn, Travinsky. As McNeese has a runner steal to the second, and it was a bad throw. So there's going to be a run on second, 2 outs for McNeese. Damn, you got to get that down there. Lonnie says, we love to hear you co-host with Tim Fletcher from Shreveport or with the guys from 97.7 in Ruston. Lonnie, I'm going to be honest, brother. It's not. I don't mean this in a wrong way or negative way. I'm not really sure of those guys. Haven't heard of them. If you'd like to connect us, I'd love to talk to them. Love to go on one of those shows one day. Kenny says, hey, Blake, you need to go on the Paul Feinbaum show, but Paula is afraid you will embarrass him. He's not going to invite me on. As will Bill, maybe one day he will, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. David says Feinbaum ran with that LSU story in USA Today on his show. He hates LSU with a passion and talks down to LSU anytime he gets a chance. Guys, I'm just going to throw this out here. A certain media member had only 200 views on his show today. Before I came on, I should say that. Only 200. He has 100 people watching live, but only 200 total views. Guys, that doesn't work. Sometimes it's about numbers and noise. And at the end of the day, it's about money. Don't let people lie to you, bro. Let me tell you something, because we are building this. And I will tell you from the bottom of my heart, the more negative things are around the program that you cover and a coaching search are the two things that will make your platform explode. And you got to be careful with both of them and tread lightly. Blake Doucette says, I think Money deserves a look. I wouldn't mind Blake Money getting a look at all. And look, he came in against Vandy. Remember when people said that we should concede that loss because Jack Leiter was on the mound? What an absolute just horrid take. David says, ask Blake, what did you think of tonight's lineup? I like it, but look, we're almost through 4 innings. We got 1 run. If you're going to put an offensive lineup out there, you have to score runs. I like that the Giacomo's back. When you have that lineup out there, you have to score runs. If you can't score runs, you're not going to beat Kentucky 1-0. It's not going to happen. Just telling you that right now. Blake Schilling says, can you imagine Nussmeier, Howard, Manning in the same quarterback room? Not really. It would be very interesting to see those guys in a quarterback room. I don't know. I don't feel like any one of those guys would ever be in the room together. Like all 3 of them at the same time, maybe for a spring, maybe. But look, Walker Howard's graduating in December, and he's going to be on LSU's campus in December, January. Oh, all right, foul. Damn. McNeese foul one down the left field line. I thought it was fair, but it just ekes foul. Man, that could have been bad. Billy says, is it safe to say Eddie Smith is yet another week higher? Look, I'm going to tell you something that people have told me, and this is from people that are baseball coaches in high school, people that have coached in college. they've told me before that it doesn't really matter who Paul Mainieri, outside of Andy Cannizaro, who he gets to be his hitting coach, that he always tells people, I'm the hitting coach. I'm the hitting coach. Well, you're doing a very shitty job this season if you're the hitting coach. Just throwing that out there. You have to be able to produce runs. You have to be able to produce a lot of things. You know, it's good that Helmers is not giving up a run. Look, it's full count, 2 outs in the top of the 4th. I mean, does he get a look if a Blake Money doesn't prevail? I agree with Blake Doucette up here talking about Money getting a look. Boom, strike 3. As Helmers gets out of the inning, that's huge. Look, Helmers has had a good outing, but he's had some weak outings against SEC opponents. He had a really bad outing against Vandy, not literally this past weekend. You know what bothers me is people talking about, well, LSU's losing the SEC games, but those midweek games, though, they're winning it. Every game matters. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about, midweek games, SEC games. It doesn't matter what games it is, guys. Every game matters. If you're playing Oral Roberts in a 3-game series during the weekend and you lose 2 of 3, it's a big deal. Midweek games are a big deal. Maybe if you lose one here and there because you want to tinker or give guys rest, okay, it's fine. But LSU's struggling against McNeese right now. They're up 1-0. We'll see. They have a very big UK series coming up. All right, guys, we're going to go a little bit longer. We're going to cut the show a little short tonight, just in the sense of that we do have the game on and stuff like that. But if you're just joining the show, I did let's see. Chili says, #Ask Blake, man, I wish you connected with Billy Lucci. That guy is so delusional about A&M. Yeah, I mean, look, he seems to be a very, very big fan of Texas A&M. He sometimes gets a little out there with Texas A&M. We've invited him to come on the show. He is not. I think it was because I had some very choice words for Kellen Mond and Texas A&M in that 7 overtime game a while back, saying that they're absolutely Rudy Poo, and that I think that Jimbo Fisher is, a quack job sometimes. I like Billy. I think that what I will say, though, Billy has built a very, very big platform and a very, very big service. There's nobody that covers Texas A&M better than Billy. Nobody. So I think it would be a good debate. Maybe we'll bring him on for the LSU A&M game. Maybe we'll talk to him as the summer gets here. David says, I be at UK series this weekend. What do you think of our chances of winning that series? Not good. Look, I got to see LSU win an SEC series before I'm going to pick them to win another one. I'm not going to pick them to win another one until I see them actually do it. Guys, they haven't won a series all year. They're 33-36 in the SEC since 2018. And quite honestly, I kind of got bombarded with, that's a misleading stat. 33-36 in the SEC is not misleading. You can't say we're just LSU. Bullshit, I can't. You got a big-ass wall out there in right field called the Intimidator. You're damn right I could say this is LSU. You were built in the 80s and 90s from being the most prestigious program, as it looks like Dugas hits a frozen rope in between short and third, as that's going to be a hit. Now, runner on first with no outs, still 1-0. But bullshit, I can't. The biggest lie from ever, you can't just say it's LSU. BS, because like I told you last night, I'll tell you again, the one thing that you can't compare about all sports is winning and losing. If a guy's not winning, that's not good. A couple more, and we're going to get out of here. Blake just says, ask Blake, with a name like Blake Money, but with a brother named Cash Money, he deserves a shot. Got a mullet going. Let him get a shot, Paul. He had a great outing. Look, and he shoved it. Look, I asked some people that in the Nashville area, which reminds me, I'll be on with Bill King tomorrow. But people that cover Vandy in the Nashville area, Tim Corbett didn't even recruit Blake Money, and he went out there and shoved it down their throat. Oh, you don't want to recruit me? You don't think I'm good enough? I'll show you. He did. Lonnie says, I will always love LSU and bleed purple and gold, but Louisiana Tech looks like a possible contender this year. What's funny about that, Lonnie, is LSU beat them. You know, the literally the worst team in the SEC West beat Louisiana Tech. Not in a series, I get it, but they beat Louisiana Tech when they were absolutely struggling. So you're talking about a really struggling LSU team that beat them in a game. I mean, I get what you're saying. I know what you would say. It's only one game. It's not a series, but it's going to be that hit draws. Yeah. Pitch hits draws. So now there will be runners on first and second. Look, LSU's got to blow this wide open. Literally has to blow this wide open. Let's get some offense going, man. Did they say he got hit? Oh, yeah, he got hit on the thigh. B.I. I love that name right there. B.I. I like that. B.I. says, we were robbed in that Texas A&M game in 2018. You're damn right we were. You're damn right we were. You know what, guys? This is what we're going to do. We're going to cut it. I'll get to this question, but we'll cut it short tonight since we do have an LSU baseball game on. Josh says, #ask Blake, where you got Marshall and Chase going in the draft? I don't think that Jamar Chase gets out of the top 5. I do think that if there's a available shot that the Bengals have in taking Jamar Chase, they take it because they did get an offensive tackle in Riley Reif. They have a couple of offensive linemen that they got in free agency. They got some young guys that they built on the offensive line. Oh, my God, LSU's about to bunt. Jordan Thompson's out to the plate, and he looks like he's about to lay down a bunt as he takes a second ball. Man, if they bunt here, so help me, sweet baby Jesus. They need to. I think Terrace Marshall could get into the first round. I don't, as Lonnie Ant says here, Marshall to the Saints. I don't think that he gets to the Saints. I don't think that the Saints will take him. I think that there's probably another receiver out there that they would take, like a Kadarius Toney. They need speed at wide receiver. I know that Terrace Marshall just ran a 4.38. I get all that, but they may take a guy like a Kadarius Toney. They need a linebacker. I don't think that they take him, but I think that he can get into the 30 to 32 range. What I can see Terrace Marshall getting into the second round. Regardless, if he gets into the second round, he's going to be a steal for somebody. I really just feel like Terrace Marshall, because of injuries and production. And look, he had a lot of production. So, and that's a hard pill. It's a hard thing to sell, but he didn't play a full season. He opted out last season. He got hurt in the 2 seasons before that. So I think that there's going to be a lot of questions about Terrace Marshall. So we'll see. Kenny says, I just got a text from a Kentucky fan, and he said, boo, LSU. Screw Kentucky. They wish they were us. They wish that they could smell our underbritches. They wish that they could. I'm not going to say that neither. So we'll see. All right, guys, we're going to cut it short tonight. My name is Blake Ruffino. We will see you tomorrow at a jam-filled packed show. So we'll see you tomorrow. Cutting it short. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.